Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
I think truth is the treasure that will get you to heaven. But I think truth is the treasure that will get you to heaven. But sometimes jokes are exaggerated. So
Right.
even through exaggerations, there's a little bit of a lie. But they say in every lie, there's truth.
Welcome to the Comedians in Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, the comedian Matthew Moyer. Matthew, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Matthew Moyer. I'm born and raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I am a traveling stand-up comedian. I headline in Atlantic City at Resorts Casino with acjokes.com. I also have opened up for a plethora of comedians from Rodney Perry, Tony Woods, D.L. Hughley, T.K. Kirkland. The list goes on. I
Nice.
also run an independent media station where I intertwine comedy and news, so you have a way to process traumatic events.
A way to process. So that's interesting. So, what do you, when you say process traumatic events? What I mean, I'm curious. What does that mean exactly?
So when I moved back to my hometown after living somewhere for just a couple years, I noticed that there was a gap in policing, news reporting, and there
Okay.
was no way to ease tension when it came to how you deliver the news. So, like in comedy, you create tension, you build it, you break it. In the news, they just leave you open ended. You're like waiting for the next story, but there's no release. So, intertwining a little bit of my comedy or just comedic value gives you a way to release so that you know that there's a better day coming.
I like it. I like it. Awesome. Well, so Matthew, you ready to get started?
I am.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comment section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me. All right. So the whole point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So Matthew, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
I think everybody's evolution is different.
Right.
What I mean by that is there's certain rooms where if you throw a comic in a room, if their set doesn't go well, and nobody is laughing, they see that as a bomb. Have no translation, like no way
Mm.
to woo the crowd back. With a
Hmm.
comedian, I feel like they adapt because there's such a presence of being a funny person. Being a funny person comes with wittiness, delivery, timing, hand gestures, all those things help you to become and evolve. So yes, I guess I can say that you evolve into a comedian. I feel like some people are already comedians, but they have to do better at joke writing, and that's where the comic falls in.
I love it. I love the way you describe it. That's pretty much how I see it. And it sounds like you're almost describing that you can evolve on stage. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes, you can.
I mean, literally from the beginning of your set to the end, you can evolve from a comic into a comedian. Is that
You
what you
can.
agree
And
with?
and actually vice versa, because
Yeah.
a comedian I feel like is sometimes better at crowd work. They sense energy, they feel energy. So they
Mm,
know when to adapt to the crowd or what the crowd chuckles at. They listen for the crowd even when they're on stage.
right.
So they know when to become a comic. They know when they either just be fun and free with the crowd, or when to double dutch. I call it double dutching, when you know when to intertwine crowd work and actual material so that it's
Hmm.
a great blend and feels like a conversation amongst both people,
Yeah. So you've got to, so it sounds
like
like you
you in the
kind of have
crowd.
to, yes, a little bit of a delay, but it sounds like you have like three components to your repertoire. right? You have a crowd work, comic, and comedian. Is that kind of how you look at it?
Yes, yes, indeed.
All right. All right. So, Matthew, ready for the first question?
Yes, I am.
All right. So it's about the role of persona in comedy. So how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
The reason why I feel that question is difficult for me is because I found my voice in journalism and I'm still finding it to this day. But in
Hmm.
comedy, I feel like I always had it. I just needed to keep working at it to amplify it.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, for the comedy part, that I think we're on the same page there. But you bringing in the journalism. So where's the disconnect? Do you feel like you have to have a certain perspective for journalism?
So as a comedian, I'm free.
Hmm.
I understand that I'm on a stage. What I'm saying should be lighthearted. I still want to give you laughs. I want funny. At the end of the day, I want you to leave with a great vibe. It's all about
Hmm.
the vibe. And journalism is more so about the story, the who, what, when, where, why. That
Hmm.
comes with your own perception of it. So in the middle of there, somewhere in the median, comes me, which is a person of rationale, a person of understanding, and a person of great delivery.
All right. So there, great
I
delivery. I
didn't want to
love it.
make
It's
it
like
seem like
there's like a mic drop with the coming in and out. I'm like with great delivery, silence. That way, I was like there. That's the way to do it. All right. Well, then does authenticity matter, or is illusion part of the magic?
yes, authenticity matters. I
All
tell
right.
people be careful because sometimes when we're on stage, we have blanks, which means that our mind is running at a million miles a minute and we're supposed to relay messages, do 20 words in literally 5 seconds, don't realize it.
Yeah.
And you could pull from anything, any inspiration. So sometimes I tell people be careful when trying to intertwine crowd work because you might end up slipping up and saying something that's not yours. And that is where you have to be
Hmm.
careful. I've
Hmm.
noticed that a lot. That's been a recent trend if you've been following comedy.
Yeah. So when you say not yours, you're like telling some other person's joke or other person's crowd work setup.
Correct. Because people emulate,
Yeah.
and especially if you respect a comedian, you do it naturally and don't realize you're doing it. So
Mm,
you kind of have to mold the comedy to be yours.
right.
So you have to have a voice as a comedian who is free and loving, but then you also have to have a voice as a person who has understanding, because I feel like we're in a box right now. If
Hmm.
you say any wrong thing, you are getting scrutinized as a comedian. Before it used to be you could just say how you felt, you could say a joke, people understood it was a joke. Now it's like everybody wants to wear their heart on their sleeve
Hmm.
and be sensitive, but at the same time not understand other people's sensitivity. And that doesn't fit for a comedian because we actually do understand other sensitivity. That's why we're
Right.
able to play on stereotypes, but tell you why we understand that person and still accept them in the same world.
Yeah, so it sounds like we kind of have to get into the mind of people that are not all there. So, oh, that's how I see it. So this kind of leads to punching up versus punching down. So where do comics versus comedians stand on this? And let me put in some historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Did a jealous
Medieval
repeat that
prince.
sentence one more time?
Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
No, he became the first heckler that wore his emotions. He should have got slapped the moment he came on stage.
Nice. Yep. That's pretty much. I mean, I'm fishing for answers, and you're hitting them right out of the park. I got something going on in my head, and you're it's like you're reading my mind on that one. So yeah, that's that's how I see it. So okay, so then is criticizing dead people considered punching down?
Yes, I'm not a fan. I'll be
Right.
honest. I know that some people like dark humor, but I don't include dark humor in ways where you will resent what you said getting off a stage. And I
Hmm.
can't play with a dead person's name and not resent it. Now, bringing somebody up to have a callback or because it relates, that's different. You're finding humor in somebody's past actions, not necessarily speaking on the dead in a malicious way. That's just not
Right.
something that I do.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So how about cultural translation of comedy? So how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
That's all about reading the crowd. That's where being a comedian comes in. The comic's going to do whatever set they do. I literally seen a comic who kills. He's a headliner, does shows everywhere. Went to a festival show that was mostly around women and LGBTQ community.
Hmm.
He did a joke that was funny, but it had somewhat intertwined jokes about rape, and that rape is not really anything that I want to joke on or joke
Right.
upon. But if you make a joke, make sure the joke lands or be comfortable in the crowd that you're saying this joke. So a
Right.
comic will say that joke and just hope that it goes over. A comedian will realize before he ever opens his mouth, before he ever steps on stage, I don't think that this is the crowd where even if I want to be playful with them, now I should bring up anything that is completely offensive. Because then it ends up with you being booed and you not being able to finish your set.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good call out. It's saying that the comedian actually has more situational awareness. Is that right?
Correct.
All
Correct.
right.
You have to have situational awareness.
So then
And
how does uh-huh. Go ahead.
ooh, I wanted to expound upon what you said because cultural differences is something that you have to understand where some are very bold, some aren't. So
Mhm.
Americans have very much different actions than somebody who's French, somebody who might be from Saudi Arabia. You have to play on to their commonalities with you, but then be able to extinguishes their differences. And when you do that, that's how you break that tension so that everybody laughs about each one. See, I would say a joke that refers to me as a black man in America that would somehow correlate to a joke about that same man that's in France. But then that's how you're able to see, oh, we still all deal with the same stuff, but just in
Mhm.
different ways.
Okay. Well, I like it. So then how does the silence when your joke doesn't land hurt? Physically, emotionally, morally, or spiritually?
You actually shouldn't be phased by it because we live in a silence. Hesitated pauses is what we're supposed to do. There's a
Mm,
few things that I pray for every time that I touch a stage. That's mannerisms, facial expressions, delivery, punchlines, hand gestures, hesitated pauses. You have
mm,
to know when to pick up the punchline and put it down, like you said. Sometimes you have to know when to see. Some comedians are very good at this and they don't realize it. If something doesn't land, they know how to say something very quick and witty that goes, "Oh, okay, wrap that one up," or "You guys didn't really even bond with that joke." Like there's ways of saying things. Like for instance, Dion Cole. He does that list where he perfects that. Somebody says you can never have a notebook on stage doing a live show. He does his set where he's looking at the notebook. And if the joke doesn't go or it doesn't land for real, it doesn't get the check mark. But the check mark's just as funny. The hand
yeah.
gesture of writing a check mark because it's a good joke is just
Hmm.
as funny and exist in that same silence that you see as something that is breaking your spirit, your emotions, or your physical. Don't look at it like that. Look at it as an opportunity to be able to segue into something else.
So when you see him doing that on stage, do you believe that he has his whole set memorized and that's just part of the act?
Yes, I do
Okay.
believe that these are already trained jokes. I do believe that he could come up with ideas right before he gets on stage and it's written down and he decides to pull that off. But with
If he
that
needs to.
setup, if he needs to, yes, if he needs to. But with that setup, it makes it seem as if he's doing it right there on the spot, which makes it then look like what? A conversation.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. We don't want to throw comedy at people. We just want to be in a room with them, kicking it and giving them comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. It's dangerous. A lot of clubs don't want you to do that. They don't even want you to go on stage if you're gonna even make it look like you're doing that. Do you notice that?
Doing what exactly?
Notes, having having
Oh
paper.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that's why I said it's very different. It's very unique.
Right.
And it worked for him because he's built a brand and a name, and we know that with his persona and his mannerisms and things, it just amplifies his show. But That shows you that even though the golden nuggets or rules that we have in comedy can always be tweaked if we find a way to translate it well to a crowd.
All right. All right. So, how about love and justice? So, is the highest function of comedy to expose injustice or to make people feel less alone while living with it?
I'll be completely honest. That question is for somebody that's politically driven in comedy because I'm not focused on either of those things. Our focus is on a laugh. Our focus
Okay.
is on building a bridge. You being able to see it through my lens and me being able to understand your lens. And that's where we meet in that middle.
All right. Okay. So, then when a joke harms someone unintentionally, does love demand accountability or does justice demand defiance?
Yes, it deserves accountability. If anybody was to ever come up to me after a show and tell me that a joke offended them, I would
Mhm.
apologize. My pride is not that high. I don't have that much ego to the point where I want somebody to leave feeling bad.
Right.
Even if I had to over explain that, hey, this is a joke. If it hit, that means that it's stuck. Sometimes that tension that we have to break becomes very personal because we're speaking about real life when we're on the stage. We just give you a delivery that makes it very comical.
All right. All right. So, very important question, advertising and self promotion. So, who advertises themselves more, the comic, the comedian, or the magician? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast and get the message out today. See you soon.
The influencer.
Okay.
What I mean by that is somebody who understands the algorithm, somebody who understands how um, you have to keep posting to stay relevant. The comic and comedian, sometimes either one of them don't understand that because their golden nugget is what they're able to do on that stage. But there's so much more now when it comes to the facets of comedy. Now we got influencers that are comedians because they wake up every day and give you two, three skits. And now they're more known than you, but they've never even seen what it's like to step on stage. But guess who's getting booked for that stage?
Right.
The person who's showing up more because even in the naked eye, they're funnier than you because they don't see your stand up all the time. So that's kind of the struggle that we're dealing. So we have to understand how to adapt to these times. So the comic, the comedian, and magician also become the influencer who end up having to be your social media manager. You play a lot of positions that you probably need to delegate out in order to move up as a comedian in this world.
All right. So who survives better in the cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
The comedian. At the end of the day, a comedian still understands consistency. Even at the highest levels, you still want to drop in and go to an open mic so you could get a feel for your jokes. Being at that level where you're clinging on to wanting to hear that laugh, not always realizing the laugh is going to come because of who you are. A lot of people, their jokes you see get written for them more, and you could start to notice it when they get to a certain level because the connection that they don't want to lose. So through somebody else, they still have that connection because they've reached certain heights.
Yeah,
If
that's
that makes
interesting.
sense.
So, yeah, it does. When you say that, it makes me think about the scale of your audience, and then is that if you have like a writer or other, someone else is giving you jokes that that other they think other people will see funny in you, and it's almost they're playing with your blind spot, and you're just repeating it. Is that kind of what you're suggesting?
In a way.
Okay. All right. All right. So, how about comedy as commentary? So, when does a comedian cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
When they instill change with their words.
It's powerful.
True change.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
I will say this, in the social media area, philosopher is a term that a lot of people could probably take on without having no type of educational background, without having any true means of being a philosopher, but because others feel like they are in a parasocial relationship with this person, they truly understand them like they're a friend, they almost get put on the platform of a philosopher, but they're truly just a person with an opinion.
So then would you say that truth is treasure in heaven?
Truth is treasure in heaven. I think truth is the treasure that will get you to heaven. But I think truth is the treasure that will get you to heaven. But sometimes jokes are exaggerated. So
Right.
even through exaggerations, there's a little bit of a lie. But they say in every lie, there's truth.
Right.
So
All
basically,
right.
what that's saying is it takes positive and negative to fuel a battery. We will
Yeah.
never have anything to laugh at if there wasn't an opposition to something.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So speaking of opposition, Matthew, are you ready to enter the multiverse?
Yes, let's go.
All right. So board game Zoomcast, play versus performance. So you have to choose an avatar to stay coherent in the multiverse here. So if comedy were a board game Zoomcast, are you competing as the colorist avatar, adding tone, mood, and shading, or the Foley artist avatar, building punchlines with soundscapes and timing?
My personality is screaming at first. The comic that I'm working to perfect that sits within this comedian wants me to say that I want to be the punchlines, but I'm truly the image.
Okay.
So I
So
would say the
then,
first one.
as a color, so then does comedy work better when it's painted vividly or when it's orchestrated sonically?
It needs a mix. That's why I say hand gestures, facial expressions. There's never too much of anything in comedy if you know how to blend it well.
All right. So, here in the Comedians and Elevators podcast, we have a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest. And the previous guest was Lisa Mayo. And, oh, she says Mayo. But her, her question for you, Matthew, is when did you feel the most blessed?
When I was able to walk again. See, a lot of people don't know that comics come from a place of pain sometimes. So I've
Yeah.
said disability jokes, but I've been a young man in a wheelchair who got hit by a truck at 12. I felt the most blessed when I went to rehabilitation after a month of me not being able to go left foot, right foot. I finally was able to. What that simplifies is what you call important in life, what we take for granted just every day, being able to wake up, to breathe, to speak, to be able to walk, just go left foot, right foot. That's where it starts. It all starts with starting to just take a step in the right direction.
Well, that's powerful. That's for sure. Well, all right. So, last question. Legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics Type 5 survive time, or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
You said, well, the comics Type 5?
That's how I envision, describing a
Yeah, yeah, I
comic in
know
one
what you
way.
mean. You're basically saying a
Yeah.
perfected set that you could say anywhere, everywhere, and it goes over. But what was the word you said after that? You said, well, comics Type 5, what? I didn't hear that part.
Survive time. So we're talking about
Survive time.
legacy. Yeah.
Okay. In regards to legacy,
Yeah.
will the comics Type 5 survive time? Or what was the comparison again?
Comedian's cultural point of view.
Point of view almost feels like it puts your cultural point of view almost seems like it puts that point of view on a box, and some people won't fit that same view.
Yeah,
So if you
not every
have,
comedian. I know. You're like you don't know where they're coming from, right?
yeah, so
So you won't
I
remember them.
would say, yeah, this is it's a thinker. It's a thinker.
Yeah.
So I would say I always think outside the box and want to perfect something. So I would say honestly, if you create a type five that translates well in any culture,
Hmm.
that's the perfect blend of both comparisons that you made. Because a type five is something that you could spit anywhere, everywhere, you know it's going over. Like if
Right.
today, if I was to stand in front of Michael Keegan and Kevin Hart to do his funny AF, I got a tight five ready because I want to blow him out the water.
Right. Yeah, I would put George Carlin in that. He's kind of both. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. So I see him as the pinnacle of the answer to this question is who would personify that. All right. So Matthew, where can everybody find you online?
So my name is Matthew Moyer. I am the creator of Channel 5 Ratchet News. All my handles on Instagram and all other sites, Facebook. I have a group with 130,000 people where it shows you live time news in central Pennsylvania. Check it out. Tell me what you think of it. Um, Also on Instagram, I have a page that I just started not too long ago for comedian Matt Moyer. Help me get my followers up. I'm at 1,800. Channel 5 Ratchet News. I intertwine comedy and news. So that's at 60,000 on Instagram. You can follow me on YouTube. Follow me on any social media platform. You can follow comedian Matt Moyer and Channel 5 Ratchet News.
Love it. Love it. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everyone, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, for sure. And I appreciate you so much.
If you're interested in too much information like in the network state or Mantipus the chicken shit, check out this video. Or is it this one right here? Well, either way. Lizard